Politicians who changed American history. Welcome to the journey of discovering the people who changed American history. They were not just politicians, but also symbols of leadership, courage, and vision beyond their time. From bold decisions on the battlefield to speeches that changed an entire society, their stories are the torch that lights the path of America today. Join me in discovering the mysteries and surprising truths behind the names that have been engraved in the golden pages of world history. 1. George Washington, Founding Father of America. George Washington was not only the first president of the United States, but also considered a symbol of tenacious leadership and strategic vision. Born into a middle-class family in Virginia, he overcame many difficulties to become a central figure in the American War of Independence. As Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution, Washington led the colonial forces to victory over the British Empire, laying the foundation for a free nation. After the war, he continued to lead the drafting of the Constitution, creating the legal and political foundation for the United States. When he became president in 1789, Washington set many important precedents, from building a cabinet, developing the financial system, to maintaining neutrality in international conflicts. Notably, he refused to be president for life, affirming the importance of the peaceful transfer of power, which became the foundation of American democracy. George Washington was not only a talented military leader, but also a symbol of honesty, humility, and dedication to the common good. His legacy lives on in America and the world as a model of an ideal leader. 2. Abraham Lincoln, Emancipator and Defender of the Union. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is one of the greatest leaders in American history. Born into poverty in Kentucky, he rose through self-education and determination to become a symbol of patience, compassion, and political wisdom. Lincoln entered the White House at a time of great turmoil, when the nation was divided over the issue of slavery and regional conflicts. With a vision of a united and just America, he led the country through the bloodiest Civil War in American history. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, a historic step that ended slavery in the United States and laid the foundation for freedom and equality. He also remained steadfast in his belief in national unity, despite opposition and hostility from many sides. His Gettysburg Address is one of the most famous speeches of all time, espousing the importance of democracy, liberty, and sacrifice for a noble cause. Sadly, Lincoln's career was cut short when he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth in 1865, just days after the end of the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln's legacy is not only the liberation of millions of people from bondage, but also his example of moral leadership, altruism, and unwavering commitment to the common good. He will forever be revered as one of the greatest presidents of the United States. 3. Franklin D. Roosevelt, Depression-era leader. Franklin D. Roosevelt, commonly known as FDR, was the 32nd President of the United States and the only person in history to be elected to 4 consecutive terms. He led the United States through 2 major crises, the Great Depression and World War II, leaving behind a profound political and economic legacy. When FDR took office in 1933, the United States was in the midst of the worst economic depression in its history. With his reform program known as the New Deal, Roosevelt implemented a series of bold policies to rebuild the economy, create jobs, and strengthen the financial system. Programs such as the Public Works Administration, PWA, and Social Security helped lift millions of people out of poverty and laid the foundation for the modern welfare state. When World War II broke out, Roosevelt not only strengthened the U.S. military, but also played a decisive role in building alliances with allied nations such as Britain and the Soviet Union. He made America the arsenal of democracy, providing material and military support to fight against Nazi Germany and Japan. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, FDR led America into the war with great determination, contributing significantly to the Allied victory. At the same time, he was one of the founders of the United Nations with the hope of building a peaceful and cooperative world after the war. Although he died in 1945 before the end of World War II, Franklin D. Roosevelt left an indelible legacy. He is remembered as a compassionate, steadfast, and creative leader who turned the darkest moments into opportunities to build a stronger and more united America. Roosevelt was a symbol of resilience and visionary leadership in the most difficult times. 4. Thomas Jefferson, architect of American democracy. Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, is one of the most important figures in American history. He was not only the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, but also the founder of modern democracy. Born in Virginia, Jefferson was a politician, diplomat, lawyer, philosopher, and reformer, with a profound vision of individual liberty and national development. Jefferson is best known for his role in authoring the Declaration of Independence in 1776, where he affirmed the fundamental principles of liberty, equality, and the pursuit of happiness. This was not only the declaration that gave birth to the United States, but also became a symbol of the democratic movement around the world. During his presidency from 1801 to 1809, Jefferson expanded the United States through the Louisiana Purchase, a bold move that doubled the size of the nation and cemented America's position as a great power. Jefferson also founded the University of Virginia, where he sought to provide a liberal and enlightened education for future generations. As an Enlightenment philosopher, he believed in freedom of thought, the importance of agriculture in the economy, and the need for a limited government to protect individual rights. Although a champion of liberty and equality, Jefferson faced controversy over his ownership of slaves throughout his life. This conflict has sparked ongoing debates about his legacy. Thomas Jefferson left a legacy that stands the test of time, not only in shaping American democracy, but also in the global impact of his values. With his vision and reformist spirit, he was one of the great architects of human history. 5. Barack Obama, symbol of hope and change. Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, is an iconic figure in history, not only because he was the first African American to hold the nation's highest office, but also because of his significant contributions to promoting equality, healthcare reform, and global diplomacy. Born in Hawaii in 1961, Obama overcame the hardships of a multiracial family to become one of the most influential leaders of the 21st century. Obama entered the White House in 2009, when the United States was in the midst of a global financial crisis. With a message of hope and change, he implemented a series of policies to restore the economy, including a massive economic stimulus package and financial reform measures. One of his most notable achievements was the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, which brought health insurance to millions of Americans and reduced inequities in the healthcare system. In foreign affairs, Obama advocated building a more peaceful and cooperative image of the United States on the international stage. He achieved important achievements such as killing Osama bin Laden, ending the Iraq War, and signing the Iran nuclear deal to reduce tensions in the Middle East. Obama also focused on dealing with climate change by promoting the Paris Agreement on climate, affirming America's commitment to protecting the global environment. As a talented speaker, Obama inspired millions with powerful speeches that promoted unity, equality, and faith in the future. However, his term also faced many challenges, such as deep partisan divisions and political protest movements. After leaving the White House in 2017, Obama continued his work as a social activist, writing books and establishing the Obama Foundation to support young leaders around the world. With a legacy of innovation and compassion, Barack Obama remains a symbol of hope and change, not only for America, but also for the world. 6th, Martin Luther King Jr. Icon of the Civil Rights Movement. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the greatest leaders in American history, known as an icon of the fight for racial equality and civil rights. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, he became a Baptist minister and quickly emerged as a staunch social activist, fighting against the discrimination and injustice that African Americans had endured for centuries. In 1955, King led the Montgomery bus boycott after Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white passenger. The boycott, which lasted more than a year, became a turning point in the civil rights movement, establishing King as a leading figure. Inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence, he emphasized the need for peace and perseverance in the fight for freedom. His 1963 I Have a Dream speech in Washington, D.C. was not only a call for the end of racial segregation, but also a vision of an America where all people lived in equality and harmony. The march helped spur the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which ended discrimination based on race, color, and sex. King fought not only for the rights of African Americans, but also for the rights of workers, the poor, and against the Vietnam War. His courage and vision made him the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. On April 4, 1968, King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, an event that shocked the United States and the world. Although his life ended too soon, his legacy lives on, inspiring movements for freedom, justice, and human rights around the world. Martin Luther King Jr. remains a symbol of hope, courage, and the tireless fight for a more just world. 7. Rosa Parks, the initiator of the American Civil Rights Movement. Rosa Parks is known as the mother of the Civil Rights Movement in the United States, an enduring symbol of courage and determination against injustice. Born in Tuskegee, Alabama, during a period of deep racial segregation, Parks grew up in an environment where African Americans suffered discrimination and injustice from the legal system as well as society. On December 1, 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white passenger, a small but bold act in the context of Jim Crow laws that required black people to give up their seats to white people on public transportation. Her arrest became the spark that sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, which lasted more than a year and was one of the most important events in the history of American civil rights. Rosa Parks's determination not only challenged segregation laws, but also inspired millions of others to stand up for equal rights. The Montgomery bus boycott, led by Martin Luther King Jr., took the civil rights movement to new heights, leading to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that bus segregation laws were unconstitutional. Rosa Parks did more than just stand on the bus. She dedicated her life to the civil rights movement. She worked with organizations, including the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, to fight for equality and justice. Parks received numerous awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal. Through her simple yet powerful act, Rosa Parks changed America, sparking a wave of relentless struggle to eradicate racial discrimination. Her legacy lives on, reminding every generation of the power of courage and perseverance in the fight for freedom and equality. 8. Susan B. Anthony, pioneer of women's rights. Susan B. Anthony was one of the most prominent activists in American history who devoted her life to fighting for gender equality and women's suffrage. Born in Adams, Massachusetts, Anthony grew up in a Quaker family, where she was taught the values of justice, equality, and human rights. Anthony became involved in social reform movements in the 1850s, including the anti-slavery movement and the women's rights movement. Realizing that women could not truly achieve equality without the right to vote, she focused all her energy on fighting for that right. In 1869, she and Elizabeth Cady Stanton founded the National Woman Suffrage Association and led suffrage campaigns across the United States. In 1872, Anthony caused a stir when she deliberately voted illegally in the presidential election, a symbolic act of defiance of the legal system. She was arrested and fined, but refused to pay the fine, highlighting the injustices against women in the American political system. Anthony not only fought for the right to vote, but also for property rights and economic freedom for women, helping to improve women's lives and status in society. She was also an excellent speaker, traveling across the United States to lecture and convince the public of the importance of the right to vote. Although Susan B. Anthony did not live long enough to see her work come to fruition, her work was instrumental in the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women the right to vote. In honor of her great work in 1979, she was featured on the U.S. dollar coin, becoming the first woman to be so honored. Susan B. Anthony's legacy is a testament to perseverance and courage in the fight for justice. She will forever be remembered as a trailblazer who changed the status of women in American history and inspired generations to come. 9. Frederick Douglass, symbol of liberty and equality. Frederick Douglass, born into slavery in Maryland, overcame all odds to become one of the greatest orators, writers, and reformers in American history. With extraordinary courage and intelligence, he not only fought to free himself from the shackles of slavery, but also became a symbol of liberty and equality throughout the world. Douglass escaped from slavery in 1838 and quickly became a powerful voice in the abolitionist movement. He used his brilliant oratory skills to recount the atrocities he and his fellow slaves endured, awakening the conscience of an entire nation. His autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, is not only an important historical document, but also a vivid testament to the power of the human spirit to fight against injustice. Douglass was a strong advocate for the right to vote for African Americans and women. He once said, "I cannot accept that half the people should be free while the other half are oppressed." He worked tirelessly with activists like Susan B. Anthony to promote equal rights for all people, regardless of race or gender. One of the first people of color to hold high-ranking positions in the U.S. government, Douglass served as an advisor to President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War and continued to fight for civil rights during Reconstruction. He used journalism, speeches, and his writings to speak out about injustice and call for a more just America. Frederick Douglass was not only a liberator, but also a thought leader who helped shape the foundations of the modern civil rights movement. His legacy is a powerful reminder that freedom and justice are values that each generation must continue to protect and preserve. Douglass will forever be remembered as a symbol of courage, perseverance, and an unwavering vision for a more equal world. 10. Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad, hero and icon of liberty. Harriet Tubman is one of the greatest figures in American history, known as the Black Moses. Born into slavery in Maryland, Tubman not only freed herself but helped hundreds of others find freedom through the Underground Railroad. Through her courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination, she became a symbol of the struggle for freedom and justice. Tubman escaped from slavery in 1849, after a perilous journey to freedom in the North. But instead of living peacefully, she returned to the South several times to rescue her family and other slaves, despite intense persecution and constant danger. With her knowledge of the terrain and excellent navigation skills, she organized more than 13 escape missions and helped more than 70 people escape from slavery, while guiding hundreds more to freedom through the Underground Railroad. During the American Civil War, Harriet Tubman continued her service by serving as a spy, nurse, and cook for the Union Army. One of her most notable achievements was leading the Combahee River Raid in South Carolina in 1863, freeing more than 700 slaves, becoming the first woman in American history to command a war effort. After the Civil War, Tubman continued to fight for equal rights, especially women's suffrage. She joined the women's movement with activists like Susan B. Anthony and continued to work to support people of color in need. Despite living in poverty for most of her life, Harriet Tubman never gave up on her noble ideals. Harriet Tubman left an indelible legacy in American and world history. She is a symbol of courage, determination, and a spirit that never gives up in the face of injustice. With her extraordinary contributions, she will forever be remembered as one of the greatest leaders in the fight for freedom and human rights. Politics is not just about decisions on paper or in the halls of power, but also about the people who dare to stand up and change history. The leaders we have just learned about have not only shaped America, but also inspired millions of people around the world with their courage, perseverance, and vision. They are a testament to the power of people to create change. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to explore more meaningful stories with us. See you in the next videos.